In the breathing principle, we talked about the movement of your rib cage, and I just want to review that really quick. When you breathe in, your ribs are expanding, so there's more space in your chest for the lungs to expand. So the ribs get wider and they separate. Then when you exhale, your ribs draw back in towards the center to put pressure into your chest to help you expel the air. So in addition to your diaphragm and little tiny muscles in between your ribs, your oblique abdominals play a very large role on the exhale to help pull those ribs in to help you expel the air. When we talked about your pelvic placement principle, we described your obliques kind of like suspenders running between the ribs and hips. Today, I want you to imagine that same imagery of suspenders, but now we're using their contraction to stabilize the position of the rib cage against the load of the arms moving in space. During the pelvis one, we talked about your legs as the resistance. So before we actually worry about how you're gonna, I want you to sense how you're gonna stabilize against your arms moving with just a little breathing drill. You're gonna need a thin book and some kind of strap. I have a necktie, but you could use a rope or a yoga strap to do this. Now, you're gonna need a wall too. So I'm gonna put the strap behind my back, covering my lower ribs, and I'm just gonna leave that smushed there. And then I'm gonna take my book, and this is a word puzzle book, but I'm gonna guess 100 to 150 pages should be good. You're gonna use the back of your head to keep the book pinned to the wall. And then I'm gonna align my pelvis in neutral. So I feel my sacrum against the wall. My low back has a little curve away from the wall, but then all my ribs have good contact in the mat. And just so I don't forget your neck is not touching the wall either. So I'm gonna take that strap, keep it against those lower ribs, crisscross it in the front and hold it taut against the body. Okay, so now this is just reviewing the diaphragmatic breath so you can sense how you're gonna stabilize. When you breathe in, I want you to breathe into the strap three-dimensionally. So back, front, and sides, and feel the ribs expand into it. Then when you exhale, you're going to draw your ribs back into the center. You'll feel like the strap gets loose and you have to tighten it up again. So breathe in and try to sense the band or the strap in every direction. And then when you exhale, observe how your abdominal wall compresses to help you squeeze those ribs in. I want you to keep trying that for another breath cycle or two. So we've got the sense of opening and closing your ribs, but mastering this isn't just about sensing it, but doing it with as little force as you need to get the job done. If I overemphasize contracting my obliques on the exhale, I might recruit extra abdominal force from my rectus abdominis, pull down on my chest and the front of my throat, and actually make my posture worse instead of better. And notice the pillow or the book fell out from behind my head. So I'm gonna pin it there again. And I want you to practice this. The feedback from the book is actually to help you keep your best posture with your gaze forward. And as you exhale, I want you to keep a little backwards pressure from all three segments, the head, the ribs, and the hips, so you can sense how you're bracing these three parts in relationship to each other. Then, when I take the strap away, I can play around with just lifting one arm at a time. So these are arm scissors. And this one's good if you have a big side dominance or you have rotations like scoliosis in your spine. Because now you can kind of sense, are you stabilizing equally well with your obliques depending on which arm you're lifting. Or you could lift both arms overhead, and now this heavier load, you have to kind of feel out how far you can reach your arms before your ribs pop or thrust off the wall. So I'm gonna time in either of those and exhale as I send my arms overhead so I can use my breath to make a counter force and draw the ribs down. And then I'll inhale to lower the arms back down. So exhale, I can reach overhead, and inhale, lower. And then you'd wanna progress that to those arm circles we did in the wall workout, where I went to overhead and around, so that I'm getting more mobility through my shoulder blades, including some upward and downward rotation and elevation and depression. Okay, so when you're doing your Pilates mat classes or your bar classes, I want you to focus on that as part of your alignment, especially in the standing ab work in the bar class or in the ab series when you're in mat class.